welcome to Chatterbox, Emma. Today we have Emma Banks, Group Sales Manager of Squab Group. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure. Thank you for having me, Dan. I've actually been looking forward to it, and be interesting to see what it looks like the other side. I'm a bit nervous still, but yeah, it'll be a good laugh.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. Can you just start off by telling us a bit about Squab Group, how you started?
Yeah, so Squab Group started sort of 2005-ish. Emlyn Evans, who's one of the directors, came back into Squab Hall Farm, which is where the original one, which is our farm at Leamington Spa, and wanted to diverse the business a little bit, so kind of step away a little bit more from farming. So he sort of looked at the furniture crate storage side, and then obviously the removal side, and started with that, and then utilise some of the old sort of like cow sheds into self-storage. 2007 was kind of when the first bit of self-store was built. That bit is still going. People go in there and can't believe how old it is. You know, it's coming up to 15, 16 years old, and people are surprised by the state of it, which is great. Grew that on that side. And then Alex Henley, who's one of our other directors, he basically came on and helped us expand it into other places. So Daventry was our first expansion, if you like. It used to be just like a mechanic garage, and they converted that into self-store. Obviously, Evesham was our next one, which was our first purpose-built, if you like. And then obviously Ruby, and now we've had Stone Market in Bridgewater this year. And we've got lots coming on, but yeah, it's kind of mad to see how much we've grown.
Yeah, and how you've diversified from farmland into storage. And obviously you've got like Squab Workspace and things like that as well.
Yeah, Squab Workspace he's on one of our newest brands. It's like a sub-brand from Squab Storage. We basically decided to have a look outside the market, if you like, and look at other companies that were doing things. So like, for instance, like WeWork, Coal Vault up in Scotland, they obviously do self-store and obviously workspace. We're like, right, let's try and utilise what we've got and make something a bit different. And that's where Squab Workspaces come from. So we're kind of using space that wouldn't necessarily fit self-store in a sense of being able to put mezzanine structure in it and then making it into sort of like a bespoke unit.
Do people rent out like an office space, or is it all open plan?
We have a mixture of everything. So we do offices. We've got bespoke offices. We've put a load in at our Leamington site. We've also then put our units and converted them into offices, and then actually, making businesses run. So that could be from a carpet company that just needs storage for their carpets and beds that they do. We've got a golf simulator in one of them. And then obviously the famous one, which is Swim in a Tin, that everybody kind of loves. But yeah, it's just giving somebody the option, and it's having that conversation with the customer that's, made us do what we've done.
Yeah, because I imagine you have a lot of crossover as well. I imagine you'll have some businesses that'll come to you guys purely for storage, and then they'll see the office space or whatever, and vice versa.
Yeah, one of the classic ones we had was our Ruby site, which was a lady who was doing eyelashes. So she sold eyelashes. So she just needed a little like 25, 35 square foot room to put her stock in. And then we had a conversation with her, and I was like, have you ever thought about having your own space to actually, you teach anyway and actually do them yourself? And she said, well, I've looked at it, but it's really expensive to do on the high street or rent a room. So we sat down and had this long conversation with her. And in the end, she was doing teaching and using one of the storage units to actually do eyelash extensions for her customers, which was great for her because she kept her costs low, and also actually had the stock on site.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have had people that have done that.
Brilliant. Has anything exciting happened during 2023 for Squab Group?
It's been an eventful year. I suppose winning 2 awards. Well, actually, we've won 4 awards. Independent Self-Store of the Year for the UK market. And then we won the Fidessa one not so long ago for our Leamington Spa site. We won Family Business of the Year for the Midlands with our Leamington site. And then Kelsey and Simon at our Evesham site, they won Community Champions for Evesham, which I think is actually one of my favourite awards we've ever won, because actually that's something different. You wouldn't think of a self-storage facility winning a Community Champion Award. Yeah, we've been really lucky with that.
Yeah, I imagine hard work has got you there.
Yeah, it's been eventful. It's been hard. We don't have a massive management structure behind us. We don't, there's myself, Alex Henny and St. John, our ops guy, plus our teams. We only have mainly 2 members of staff on site. Leamington has 4, and then obviously we've got a bit of facilities team, but that's it. We haven't got loads of backup, if you like. It's kind of been hard work from everybody. Kelsey, for instance, she won Young Storage Network of the Year person, which, if the first one is amazing, to have one of mine actually win that, that's great. But that shows that she's done something different, been doing things that have worked for us as a company. And she's got that reward as well as us rewarding her. She's been rewarded from the industry as well.
Yeah, because you're on the board for the YSN.
Yeah, I am. I think this is my last year, actually, so I'm a bit sad about it. So I used to work for another company and I knew nothing about the YSN. And then I came to work for Squab, and Emlyn and Alex were both on the YSN previously. So you need to join. So I joined, went to my first YSN event, which I think was the only one they ever had, when Paul Whitaker was the chair. And I don't even think there was 20 of us in a room. And it was crazy. And now we're something like 100, and we're pushing nearly 200 members. But it's just gone crazy. And I think it's great to see that the YSN is doing so well. And I'm really privileged to be a YSN board member and see how much we've grown this year and giving information to people. And now we're actually feeding stuff back to the Self Storage Association, especially down with AI tech and security side, and obviously how store staff are feeling, I think, which is good, because they're the guys that run those big guys' companies. It's actually good for the SSA to see how they're feeling on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, it's keeping the SSA ticking over, because eventually the people in the YSN could be the operational managers, etc., for the supplier members or the members of the SSA. So it's kind of like that nice introduction.
Yeah, it definitely is, because I think, we've all said the board members now are not going to be the board members in 10, 15 years. A lot of them have got 10, 15 years on us. I'm not saying they're all old, but, we are going to be, some of us are going to be lucky enough to be those next board members. Everybody always says, it's about awareness. Every time we read an SSA report, the awareness is getting there, awareness is getting there. Well, actually, we want the awareness to be somebody knows where a self-store is. Most people know where a McDonald's is. That's what we want to see with self-store. Whether or not it'll get there ever, we don't know. But I think for us, it's about feeding that stuff through to the SSA to make them aware that how they need to look at us for new people coming to the industry. We've seen a massive amount of YSM members join who have started their own facilities that know very little. And that's one of the reasons they've joined us, is to learn.
So a bit about yourself. So how did you get into self-storage, and how long have you been with Squab?
It was a bit by accident, to be honest. I've always had a retail background. I got to a stage where I was kind of fed up of working Christmas and doing, I say this, doing 1,000 miles a month. I probably do nearly 4,000 miles a month now. But at that point, I was doing 1,000 miles a month. I was out at stupid o'clock in the morning, back at stupid o'clock at night over Christmas period. And I was like, do you know what? I'm done. I need something different. Retail's kind of going downwards. And I came across an advert for a company called a Space Station Self Storage. Didn't know anything really about self-store in a sense. My mum and dad had used it previously. So I thought, right, go for the interview. It was for a duty manager's role. Got the job, started there. So was working for them for 2 years. Learned a lot because they'd been going for such a long time. And then fancied a change. I thought, right, okay, I need to step up now. I need to do something different. They at that point were in that position to give me a new role. So, I was looking for a store manager's role. That site was the only one outside London. That wasn't going to come up. So went for an interview with these guys and took the role as the self-store manager at Evesham. So I opened the Evesham site in 2019. What's interesting is I'm the only one in our company that's ever worked in self-store before, which I think is crazy. But when you look at the people, that's what happens. Well, I've been in the industry now just over 6.5 years. I've obviously worked my way up now. So I'm obviously group sales manager for the company. But I do a lot of other things. So I do some ops stuff, etc. What's interesting is the stuff I've gained from it, the information that I've gained from it, the actual way of working is very different. I think people don't realise how a self-store works. They think it's just, you turn up and put your stuff in storage and that's it. So I've learned a lot that what I thought it was 6.5 years ago is not what it is now.
Yeah, what we found as a common theme with a lot of our podcast guests and stuff is it is constantly evolving, and there also isn't a one-size-fits-all formula. There's so many different varieties. Something might work for yourselves, whereas it might not work for a self-store in the top end of Scotland. It's just finding that little niche.
What I've seen within the industry for the 6.5 years I've been there, everybody's like, it has to be, you have to have roadside. You have to be on the roadside. Actually, Squab have proved you don't. Our Evesham site is probably our best performing site. 9-10 months of the year, you can't see that site from the road. It's only when the trees fall that you get to see it. What I've seen in the industry is people are changing the way they advertise. They are changing the way they're looking at their business. I think COVID was a massive help for a lot of people. And now we're coming to the other side where people are going, it's not actually physically walking through the door. We need to do something different. And I think we've kind of been ahead of that game with that.
Yeah, that's something that we found is popular with our Box Plus customers and stuff. We're starting to get more and more people ask for like the market and support. So it was great when we had Laura on our podcast, because she obviously worked with self-storers, and it's finding that difference. Whereas, like you said before, they just put containers on a bit of land, put maybe a sign down the side of the fence or whatever, and that's it. Whereas now it's all about, right, we need to actually market this. We need to get your name out there. There needs to be a website or social media or anything like that. We've definitely seen a shift even in the past 2 years. Definitely.
I think with container storage, unfortunately, I feel that I've seen, and I've noticed it more and more in the last couple of years, you do get those people that do just stick it on a bit of land. They haven't really thought it through, and then they wonder why it doesn't work, and then they reduce their costs. The guys that do know what they're doing are now having that issue where they're being so outpriced that it's not working for them either. Whether or not that changed, you never know. But I think actually the more we can tell people about how this industry works will help everybody. It will benefit everybody, from, the little guy that just wants 30 containers on a bit of land to the guy that's got 6 or 7 sites. For example, me coming to see you guys at the farming expo you did the other week, I couldn't believe the people that were sat listening to Lewis. They were all, majority obviously were farmers, of course they were, but they were younger. They were those that dad or granddad had been dairy farmer, all that sort of farmer for a long time. And they've kind of realised this isn't working. We need to look at something different. And they're the ones that are going to be the new guys into the industry. Those are the people I'm seeing, are those people that are trying to diversify. And I think that's going to keep growing us, because they are the ones that have got the land. Land is very difficult to come. I'm struggling to find it. So yeah, if you've got it, then do it.
Yeah, no, definitely. So where did the name Squab come from, by the way?
For those who don't know, Squab means baby pigeon. That's not the reason we chose the name. Our Leamington site is obviously the working farm, and it's called Squab Hall Farm. Actually, it does make it stand out, which I think is key. We were talking about this in the YSN a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about branding. The guys like Pink Self Store, well, they're all picked. That suits them. Tortoise Self Store. If you're using a unique name, people will remember it. There are a couple of companies that are very similar. For us, we were very lucky that just Squab Hall was on the doorstep, so we just called it Squab.
So how important is branding a Squab? You've got your orange. It's great. I love it. I'm not going to lie.
Orange does seem to be a popular colour with internal fit outs, I have to say. At the moment, we're kind of in that stage where we're actually looking at it as a brand anyway, and making sure it fits how we've changed. Because I think you can go out with the original brand, but it doesn't mean that's going to sit later on. So we did have an original brand when we first started in 2007. And I'm so glad we've walked away from it, because it's not something that would fit now. We've used other things in the past. So, we've used gimmicks with our branding, and it hasn't always worked. I think one of my favourite things we've got at the moment is we've actually got a pigeon, which is Percy. He lives at Rubery. He isn't a real pigeon, but he looks like a pigeon. He was actually made by a company called Scrap Store. So he's made out of recycled fabric. Pip, who made it, it looks real. And I remember taking it to a YSN event, and it sat on the front stairs and front chair, and Ant from DSOC panicked because he thought it was a real pigeon. And I remember going, and he literally jumped. I said, mate, it's not real. It's fake. But people know what it is, and it's part of our brand now. I've just started doing this Philippa and Percy story on LinkedIn. It gets people to remember, although it's actually, we're Squab, which is baby pigeon, using a pigeon is kind of the way that we've grown as a company. And I think when we looked at Squab Workspaces, we kind of wanted to replicate that with our websites, because we've got 2 different websites for it, but still keep that colour basis. And I think orange is always going to be a good colour, because you don't generally see it. It's not something that most people wear either. Well, I can't wear orange. I'm quite glad we don't wear orange uniform, but for us, it's that orange, black and white. It just sticks in people's mind, and people remember who we are.
Yeah. I also love your orange neon sign. Which site is that at?
They're all of them. Squab Workspace. Yeah. We were very lucky with Squab Workspace. My brother's a graphic designer, so he kind of did, make, rate, design for us. He actually came up with the design. The SW underneath is tried to look like a cube, which kind of fits in with, storage, that sort of side. The neon sign was part of a bit that we did in one of the office spaces where we tried to make a communal space. We've got an interior designer in, and they suggested it. So we've now carried it on and put it on all our sites. Every site's got a Squab Workspace. And it does make it stand out because it's on something that we can leave on overnight for a little bit. So if somebody does turn up to site, they can see it and it sticks out. Or if somebody goes and uses a workspace and they're doing like an event, they can leave it on in the background. It's just something a bit different, and people love taking photos against it. So
yeah, you posted it in the YSN WhatsApp group about like the autumnal vibes, and I was like, I'm here for that. I absolutely love it.
And autumnal fits within the farm as well, so that's why it just works really well. We're really proud of that.
So you touched upon obviously the Squab Workspace side of things. Is Squab Workspace at every one of your storage sites as well?
Yeah. So every single one has Squab Workspace, whether or not it's visible. We can't do every single thing at every site. So stuff we've done at Leamington, we can't replicate, for instance, at our Stowmarket site. We've made it that we always have this initial conversation with the customer. If a customer turns up at Stowmarket and wants 600-700 square foot space, I haven't got a unit that size, but I'll make them a unit that size, and they can have it as a gym, and we're actually just putting in a barber shop at Stowmarket.
Oh, cool.
Because we unfortunately lost our one at Evesham. She moved and started her own. She got to the point where she could afford to have her own, which is great. That's what we want to see. But because of her, we've managed to, we've now got another customer who's doing it somewhere else, but we were able to show what we can do. We've had some weird and wonderful requests, and sometimes we do have to say no. All of us would love is to be able to do like dogs, so like washing and grooming.
Yeah.
That's just not feasible with water in the self-store unit. It's the one we always get, and we're always like, really sorry, we really can't do it. We would love to, but we can't.
We would love to meet the dogs, but unfortunately we can't.
Leamington's a bit of a bespoke space because it is the farm. It's got more space. It's got more outbuildings, and we're going to grow as we grow as a company. We've got stuff coming on board over the next couple of years. We will look at how we do our internal fit outs to make it so we can do those.
So with Squab Workspace, obviously you're offering business support in the form of the workspace for other businesses. Do you yourselves get any government funding, council funding?
No, we don't, because obviously for us to be able to do that space, we have to make sure we have the right planning. Now that's the key for us. It does help us when we're expanding, because when we do put in planning for a new site, we can say, actually, we are offering local businesses the opportunity to use us to help their businesses grow. We're employing 2 of our own staff, but we're helping local businesses employ. So whether that's using, setting up their own business in a space, having a drop-off point for a local sort of like engineer or something, they see that as a positive. We don't get funding. Not many people get funding anymore, I don't think. We have been unfortunate where we've had the council turn up and say, in the sense of illegal businesses running from your site because of your planning. And we were able to prove our planning was there, that we could do that. You have to have that sort of plan to have an office anyway for staff to work. And now we've got that, and we've learned from that. When we are putting planning applications in for other sites, we can say, yes, okay, we're only going to have 2 people. However, we are going to be able to incubate, if you like, X amount of businesses on site to help local businesses and local community grow, whether or not that's charities as well. And I think that's something that is key for when you are doing your planning application.
How easy would it be, like you said, if somebody came to your Stowmarket site and asked for a certain square footage, like what would be your process of that inquiry? Right, is this feasible? Can we make it?
Our team have obviously had a lot of training through me and Sinjant, our ops guy, about what we can and can't do. We ask the customer to sort of, if they want a bespoke sort of storage space, okay, what do you want it for? And we get them to build like wish lists, because we want them to have what they really want. Obviously, sometimes we have to say no, but having a wish list means that we can say, right, you want this, I can't do that. However, I can do this. And it's about vetting them as well. So we have to vet them, because obviously we do invest money into these by sort of doing these fit outs, and then we give them a term amount of time to pay it back. So we've got to make sure that their business is the right fit for us. We always sort of say, right, how is it going to work for you? I can't be having people coming in and out that storage space at 2:00 in the morning. That's not going to work for us. But if they sort of say, well, I'm here between this time and this time, yeah, that's fine. If we can do it, we'll do it. It's about making the customer aware of how we work as well. They have to fit with us.
Mm-hmm. I also saw that you do like monthly networking.
Yeah, the monthly networking events actually came from Laura, who's our sales consultant at Rubery at Bottom Birmingham. She was really struggling to find networking events that weren't in the middle of Birmingham City Centre. Now, if you've ever tried to drive from Rubery to Birmingham City Centre, it can take you an hour to go about 10 miles. And she said, I'm losing so much time. And there's a lot of people that I know in this area, because she lives there, that would love to network, but don't feel confident or don't have the time to travel that bit in and bit out. So she decided to set up her own one. She just did it off her own back, said, right, I'm setting this up. I said, okay, what support do you need? Can you help with this? So me and Kelsey both sort of helped her, and it's absolutely fun. She's, I think her second one, she had 30 people in the room, and now we've brought it into our Leamington site. So Andy, who's our store manager there, has just done his second one, and it's something we're just going to continue to grow. Where we haven't got the availability to do proper networking, we're giving that for people to do, and we're actually not charging people. And we basically go out, buy a load of nice pastries, some fruit and tea and coffee on site, and that's it. And then everybody just has chat and mingle. It is something different. I know there's a couple of other people out there now looking at what we've done and are going to do that. We get people that network with us at that wouldn't necessarily, if you like, buy off us, but they have contacts that could. And that's what it's about. It's not about physically that person turning up and taking a 50 square foot unit. That's not what we're about. We're about growing the community as a whole.
Yeah, and like you said, they might not want a unit from yourselves, but it's just opening up that extra kind of marketing avenue. So have you seen much crossover from those networking events into customers?
Yeah. What I've always said to my team is you do these networking events, that's great, but you then need to have one-to-ones with these people, because it might not just be what they can give you, it's what you can give them. So if we've got, for instance, an estate agent, because estate agents are very hard to get on board. I don't know why, they just seem to be. We've got a couple that we're very lucky with. And what we've realised is by inviting them to the networking event, that's great for them, because it means that they can get businesses to use these boards outside where you can advertise. And that gives them a bit of an insight into, like, gets customers into that. And also speak about their business. But we have people that move all the time and they move into store because they're selling their house, and then it falls through and then they need to remarket the house. We can give you those. And likewise, if you refer to me, I'll give you a referral voucher. That could be, I'll take you to the pub for lunch. And I think that's what we've seen. We've managed to get that sort of relationship with them that, yes, they're not always going to give me a customer, but they get to know us as people. So when they do have somebody that needs it, they remember us. The other thing that we did find that has worked for us is a lot of people that come to this network might not need it, but like you say, family members might, like electricians or builders or plumbers. They seem to come back and say, oh, my wife attended your networking event. I need somewhere to store my stuff because she's fed of it being in the garage, for instance. It's about making those connections so when people do think about it, they know where to send those people.
And clearly it's working if some of your members of staff are winning community champion awards, like you said, for self-storage. Like, it's kind of like, how does storage go into the community and stuff like that? So it's clearly working.
One of the biggest charities that we support for the Evesham site is the local NCT. So they obviously help new mums in the area. Now, new mums are quite a difficult person to get in front of because they've got so much else going on with their new babies. They're really stressed out. They've not slept and all this sort of stuff. But they're the people that are home all the time. For us, what we've done with them is we've sponsored their baby bundles. Now, their baby bundles are made up of Moses cot bed with lots of like little bits. And they go out to mums that can't quite afford to buy all that. So for us, it kind of gave us a sort of like a way of helping the community. But they absolutely love it. They're always posting about it, We are a drop-off and pick-off point for midwives and people dropping off things. So we get people drop off donations that, oh, I didn't know you were here. Oh, that's good to know. And we've had business out of it. The random one that Kelsey's done at Evesham is back care. Basically, it's a little bin that we have in the office that people can leave like makeup brushes in. So when they're cleaning their bats off and they're injured and stuff, it's such a random thing to have, but it's a talking point.
Yeah. Like you touched on earlier, you famously got Swim in a Tin, which is a hydro pool in a container. How did that come about?
I have to say, never again. I love it, but never again. To be honest, I wasn't massively part of it to begin with. We had a customer on site who runs a risk assessment company, and her and her other business partner for Swim in a Tin both learnt to swim later on in life. Found it very difficult with being in a pool with a load of kids. They'd seen this brand that do it somewhere else where it's like a hydro pool and you learn to swim like one-on-one lessons. And they thought, oh, it'd be amazing if we could do that. And they approached Emlyn and Les, the other director, one of our other directors, Emlyn's brother, about it. They were like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, you wouldn't have done that 2 years ago. Have you thought this through? Yeah, it'd be fine. Okay. It was a nightmare at some points. It was about getting, the pool's got to be a certain heat all the time, which also means you've got to keep the room a certain temperature all the time to match the pool. Well, when you've got a container and the humidity and it's got suspended ceiling in it with ceiling tiles, toilets with like flushing toilets and running showers and changing rooms and an office space and a viewing room, to keep that all not falling apart, if you like, has been proven difficult. And it's took us a couple of times to get it right. But now it's amazing. It's so busy on site. And what it's done for us is actually bring other customers on site, other businesses. And then obviously some of our other customers that store with us now use Swim in a Tin for their children or for themselves. So it's been a massive success, and we invested a lot into it. Like I said, I probably wouldn't do it again, but it's something that if you ever get a chance to come and have a look at it, and there's a couple of people that have been just to come and look at it, which is great, and we love being able to show it off. It is an amazing bit of kit that we've done, a bit of a project that we've done. I think it just shows that a container isn't necessarily just for storage, or for moving stock. My dream is to build a house out of them. That's what I want to do. And after seeing what we've done with them, I know that's possible.
Like I touched upon earlier, you're on the board of the YSN. You do a lot of work with the SSA, webinars and training and stuff like that. Do you want to just talk us through the stuff that you do with the SSA and YSN?
Yeah, so YSN, I obviously became a board member a couple of years ago. It's my last year, so like I said, I'm a bit gutted by that. You know, I probably can stay, but I give somebody else the opportunity. I'm really busy. With the SSA, I've been very lucky to have done some training for them. The Birmingham Fidessa conference that we had in 2021, I was asked at very short notice by Helen to go on a panel with Crystal Lan and a lad called Ben about social media. And I was a bit like, I've never been on a panel before. I'm in front of like 500 people. I've been in this industry way longer than me, and, you know, big guys from Storage King, Safe Store and all that sort of stuff. And actually really enjoyed it. It was my first kind of bit into doing stuff like this. I did my first proper webinar for the SSA a couple of weeks ago, which was very scary because Helen kept sending me how many people were on it. But yeah, it was great. And, you know, I had really good feedback for it. I've been able to do a lot with the SSA and learn from them that I had never done before. And now I'm trying to help with them as well, you know, the manual procedures, that map thing. And then obviously, you know, being able to put stuff into the magazines through the YSN, I think is helping my growth, but also helping me teach other people. I think there'll be more to do, because Helen keeps saying to me, which is very nice. I'm very honoured to be able to do that. I'm very lucky to have that.
Well, like you said, the SSA are now starting to listen, like, to the members, and I think they're recognising, like we've touched on earlier, about the storage industry expanding and diversifying and changing.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is not every site is the same. They need to learn from from us as well as a member, that sometimes this doesn't work. A lot of us are now having to change what product we're using because of that. Fire regulations have changed for us, health and safety's changed from us. And I think it's about them learning from us as well, what we're struggling with. So they need to be listening to us, and which they are doing. They are, you know, Rennie, for instance, is very good. You know, if I've got an issue, I know I can pick up the phone and speak to him. And I don't think there's many organisations out there, associations out there, that you can do that. I think they are, like you say, starting to listen. And I think that shows when we've been to conferences. They are kind of making it a bit different. When they did this random boxing stage at Portugal, I was a bit like, that's a bit different, Rennie. I think that's great. They're trying to mix it up because they want to keep it entertaining as well. They want to keep people coming and people learning. And I think the board's changed a lot. I'm very lucky. I've got one of my director, Alex, is on the board, and Jamie, who's also a YSN board member. Chris is the chair from Blue Self Store. We have been lucky with it. And I think, like you say, they are starting to listen. One
of the points that you made is you don't have like road signage and stuff. So what social media and local marketing tips have you implemented that have clearly worked?
I think it's keeping it local, I think, is the key. So when you're looking at your socials, for us, we don't have a social media team. It's done by my team on store. So it's done by people that actually live in the area. A lot of people, when I spoke about that, absolutely freaked out by that. They're like, how can you let, you know, people that have not been trained and all this sort of stuff? I'm like, but they talk the language of those people. You know, I've got a member of staff who is from Dudley area. He talks completely different to Laura, and they're only about 10 miles apart. But the way they speak to each other is completely different. But it's about using the local team, because they know what goes on in that area. So, for instance, at our Ruby site, they do a scarecrow walk every year. So there's lots of different businesses and houses put scarecrows outside. So Laura made the decision to go and do the scarecrow walk as part of Squab Storage, and she took Percy the pigeon with her and just posted about it. It had absolutely nothing to do with self-store, but it got so much engagement, and it was done by her. And the way she posted about it, it was like it was a person. So I think for me, it's about making sure you're local. So speaking to your local people, finding out what's going on locally, the way you do your socials, make it relevant, and having a page per site. So don't have one page that covers all your sites, because that's no good. If you've got a site at top of Scotland and a site at the bottom of Essex, for instance, what you might put on might be completely irrelevant to one person, to one site compared to the other.
You won the Independent Store of the Year win, but you had a special accommodation for your work with the sustainability. Is that something that's in the ethos of Squab?
You know, we talk about net zero and all that sort of stuff. I've got sites that are net zero now. By the time it is net zero, they're not going to be net zero because something else will change. But saying that sustainability is a big part of us, like, you know, we don't want to over order on stock for actually material wise. We want to source it properly. for what we also do is we try and use local businesses to help us with our fit, because that is a big impact when you've got somebody that might have to travel 200-300 miles down the road to do something. We can't always do that, but it might be using a local electrician, a local plumber. One, we're kind of giving back to the local community, but also that limits their travel, if you like. And then obviously solar. Every site's got solar on it, and we will continue to do that. We're very unlucky at the moment we can't use our own solar. I think that's the next thing we want to do. Yeah, sustainability is, and obviously employing local people.
Which one of your stores actually won that award?
So we've won it twice, actually. So we won it for Evesham in 2021. And then this year we won it for our Leamington Spa site, which is obviously one of the biggest self-store sites in the UK. Both sites, really, it's just how we've marketed ourselves, the way we've been diversifying what we've done. So obviously having those unusual, like, Leamington having those unusual units with golf simulation and obviously the swim in a tin. I think it's also the business support we offer. So for all our business customers, we have an app that they can utilise and talk to each other across all our sites. So if they want to look for a certain person, like an accountant, we might have an accountant at Evesham that can help their business. So offering those sort of things helped us, how we've manufactured the space and made it workable, that's been able for us to hit targets and occupancy and revenue. And I think a lot of it came down to the diversifying of the site and how we've done it. I think that was the key feedback I got, shall we say.
So what are Squab's plans for 2024 and beyond?
Grow. So we've got currently operational 200,000 square foot space. That doesn't include our trade units at Leamington. That's just pure self-store. We've got another 50,000-60,000 self-storage units coming with the changes at our Bridgewater site. So currently Bridgewater's going under a mass redevelopment where we're having to move current customers out of old self-store rooms into new space once it's been built, and then demolish that bit to build it new, because it's not, unfortunately, to our standard as a company. And then we've got a big site. We've had planning agreed. That just waiting for that to sort of come aboard. But I think that'll be 2025. And then we've got a couple of others that we're looking at. And then for us as a team, managing our time, managing the sites, we've now got sites that are way further away from each other than ever before. To go from Stowmarket in Suffolk to Bridgewater in Somerset's quite a distance. We've got a lot of new staff. So it's about getting them to where they need to be. And obviously the opportunity for our staff to grow for them. I think the biggest thing for 2024 will be winning another award. Whether I don't know what that will be. Doesn't mean it'll be an SSA award, but we would like to win something else. I think it'd be good for us.
So you mentioned about one of your sites demolishing old units. How important is that to keep, obviously, that level of high quality? Just some self-storers might just say, well, that's it. There you go.
When we took over the site at Bridgewater, it was Britannia Lanes. We know the guys quite well. It needed to be, as Alex Ardo says, squabified is his favourite word. The fit out was done 20 years ago. So it wasn't that it needed change. It just didn't fit how we work. The unit ratio wasn't right. We were going to have to do a big expansion on two sides of it anyway. It only had like a little bit of self-store because it used to be furniture crates for the other side. So it's like, right, okay, let's just go all out and redo it completely. So we've, changed all the signage outside. We've, repainted all the cladding. We're adding stuff outside. So we're adding some external containers out there as well. And then inside, it's just about making it fit our standards. So having space in between, like the corridor width is key for us. The size ratio is key. It's about being able to then offer Squab workspace in there, because at the moment we can't do that with the space we've got. And obviously for us as a brand, people look at our website and see orange and white, clean and, bright and everything. Unfortunately, going there at the moment is blue and red.
Yeah.
That's not us.
Yeah.
Because especially our business clients, they're really happy with the changes that we've made.
Yeah. Because it's just having that transparency though as well, and being able to say to them, like you said, look, this is what it's going to look like, instead of just a notice of, by the way, you might walk into a construction site pretty much. There you go.
And I think that's kind of what we've done. We've tried to be as accommodating to our customers as we possibly can. I think every brand doesn't matter what your business is, you should be like that. If you've got a customer, you should be accommodating to your customer as best you can. When things aren't going the right way or you need to do a big change, I would say 90% of our customers have been happy down there. There were a couple that aren't, but we can't unfortunately please everybody. And they can see the end game. And, we've changed the access hours for them already. So originally they were only Monday to Friday during office hours and Saturday office hours. now they've got access 8 to 7 days a week, which for some of them is great because they've got businesses to run, or they work Monday to Friday and Saturdays they've got other things going on, so they need to access on a Sunday. Now they can do that.
So that was a really great, insightful podcast. Emma, thank you so much for joining us on Chatterbox.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me, guys. It's been a fun experience for me doing my first ever podcast. Yeah, so it's also insightful for me because we're looking potentially doing our own in the future. But yeah, thank you very much.
Chatterbox was brought to you by Cleveland Containers, the UK's leading supplier of new and used shipping containers and the largest supplier to the container self-storage market. If you're looking to enter the self-storage industry or streamline and expand your current site, talk to us about Box Plus, our one-stop service that can provide you with everything you need to set up and run a simple, remotely operated and profitable self-storage business. For more information, head to clevelandcontainers.co.uk and follow us on social media for more content on all things shipping containers and self-storage.